It is Monday, June 15, 2026 at 6 p.m. We are going to have a study session this evening. This evening's study session is the Dodge City Public Library. We'll have a presentation and report by DCPL Executive Director Carissa DeVos Coca.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Evening.
I think my presentation should be brought up on the screen any second now.
You turn it off when it's green.
That's good. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Tell him again. John, she's ready for you.
Hey, there we go.
Okay, so this is Dodge City Public Library Finances and Stats. I am Carissa DeVos Coca, the Library Director. Next slide, please. So for our funding for 2026, our general fund is $1,091,634, and our mill levy was 4.136. Next slide, please. For our funds, our year-end balance of 2025 was $325,964.51. And then our current general account, as of our bank statement from May 29th, was $573,821. And our money market account is at $371,495.02. Next slide, please. The estimated
Can we go back just 1 second?
Yes.
Have the taxing entities received their their May installments yet
No.
from the county?
No, I just received those last week, so
Okay.
I'm working on getting them their second half
Yep.
distributions.
And do you know what that approximate amount, what that distribution's gonna be?
I don't remember.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
Thank you. No, I appreciate it. The estimated project cost for our HVAC, the bid that we currently have, the base bid is $425,000. The digital control add-on is $285,000 for a total of $710,000. That does not include a bond of performance for 2%, which would be about an additional $14,200. Next slide, please. Our current staffing at the library, we are staffed with 17 full-time staff members and 7 part-time staff members. That utilizes about $726,832 of our budget. On the next slide, I will kind of give some insight into our staffing. Next slide, please. For our accreditation, which is through Southwest Kansas Library System, which also partners with the state library, we are considered a level 2 major service center, which serves a population of 25,000 to 100,000 people. Due to that, we must be open 55 to 75 hours a week, and we must have 1 full-time staff member per 1,600 people within the population. So DCPL is currently open 58 hours a week, and we have 17 full-time staff members, which would be the population of Dodge divided by 1,600 people. So the accreditation through the Southwest Kansas Library System earns us a grant, which totals about $39,125 a year. If we cannot meet these requirements, we end up losing that $39,000 a year. Next slide, please. For our materials budget, again, with the accreditation, we are required to use no less than 10% of our annual budget for library materials, which does include programming. So that means $109,163 must go towards materials. So we currently have $102,500 going towards materials, which includes books, audiobooks, digital ebooks, video games, DVDs, etc. And we do have $17,000 currently going towards programming for all ages. So all the programs that we offer are totally free to the public. And between our programs and our budget for materials, we are at $119,500. So we have a little bit over that, but it's to make sure that we serve all of those areas correctly. Next slide, please. So with our budget for staffing and materials for the accreditation, we're at $859,500. And then the remaining general budget that we have left after that is $232,134. Next slide, please. This is kind of some of the other things that we budget out for. Our utilities, we budget about $53,700, which is reflective of the previous year. Our insurance, which includes content insurance, officer insurance, and a treasurer's bond, is $46,995. So a couple years ago, our content insurance upped from $10,000 to about $38,000. We have explored other options to see if it's possible to get that cheaper, but at the moment, there is no one that will cover us for less than that. Staff development, we do allot $11,000, which includes memberships, staff travel, per diem, and staff development. Repairs and maintenance to the building, elevator service, equipment repair, lawn and grounds, and pest control, we spend about $24,500. Supplies related to computers, janitorial, maintenance, office supplies, and technical services is about $30,000. Next slide, please. And then for postage, which is $1,800, we use that towards our interlibrary loan service. Our professional services for our audit, any legal services, and accounting is $40,000. Advertising, public relations, which is paid advertisements and promotional materials, we spend about $5,500. And then we save back about $58,500 for technology, which includes all of our software contracts, building alarms, copy machines, and any technology updates that we need to make. Next slide, please. Some of the services that we do provide that these all cover is we have all of our physical media, our digital media, we have all of our public computers and Wi-Fi, the Kansas Heritage Center, which we acquired back in 2019. So it does serve as a research center and has historical documents, artifacts, and more. We have programs and events for all ages. We provide faxing, copies and printing, scanning documents, notary services, meeting room space. We also have stamps, envelopes, file folders, sheet protectors, document lamination that we offer to our patrons. And then we also have the Little Free Library and the Little Free Fridge, and we will soon have a freezer as well. We've been working with one of the local groups that's helped us get all of these materials. So all of the Little Free Library, the fridge, the freezer, those have all been provided to us with a grant. Next slide, please. So we have done some major cost-saving measures in the last couple years. The biggest ones that we have done is we moved our bookkeeping back to in-house. That saved us $12,000 a year. We did cut our Hoopla pay-per-use service, which was about $14,000 a year. With Hoopla, it was kind of a cost variable. It depended on how many items people checked out, and it was getting to be extremely high, so we decided to cut that to save some money. And we also switched our integrated library system software, which we use to check out all of our books. We went from $3,550 a year to $1,425 a year on that. So we cut that about in half. Next slide, please. And then I did want to include some stats just from the community. We do have 16,287 active cardholders right now. We clear that out annually, so that is an accurate number of how many have been active this year or have an up-to-date card. Our total computer use for 2025, we had 7,961 individual logins. So far in 2026, we've had 3,045 uses. For Wi-Fi sessions, anytime somebody connects their phone, their iPad, any device they have, in 2025, it was 46,552 people. Wi-Fi sessions for 2026 so far is 12,676. And then our total meeting room usage from 2025, that is anybody outside of library staff who booked that room. We had 140 reservations. And so far in 2026, we've had 49. Next slide, please. And then for our door count in 2025, we had 75,199 visits. And so far this year, we've had 32,961 visits. Notaries, we did 603 notary services last year. And then this year so far, we've done 243. Last year, we provided 260 programs to the community and 112 so far in 2026. And as far as attendance for programs in 2025, we had 4,780 people, and this year so far, we've had 1,334. And I believe that is my last slide. Yes.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question in regards
Yes.
to the $39,000 that you get from the Southwest Kansas Library.
Yes.
What other things do you get with that service, or is it just a grant of $39,000?
No, so we do get the grant, but we also get, they provide cataloging services to us, which helps our staff get books from other libraries. They also help us largely with our technology. So we no longer have a technology staff member on staff. So Swickles helps us with all of their, our computers, our antivirus software, anything related to digital technology, they help us with that. So they are a huge help to us.
What would you think the dollar amount probably truly is outside of that 39,000? How much more in services do you think they provide?
I would think, honestly, just with the cost of what it would cost us to have a tech person on staff, the previous person that left a few years ago was making about, I think it was $52,000 a year. So there's at least $52,000 worth there, plus the services that they provide us with, getting the integrated library system that I talked about earlier with the checking books in and out. They helped us transition to that. They provided the training for that through the company that we used, which is called Atrium. So a lot of the services they provide to us don't really cost us anything, but the dollar amount is astronomical.
Because I was just thinking about, just the requirements, and the staffing and the hours being open.
Right.
There's opportunities there potentially to not be open as many hours,
Sure.
which can result in maybe having fewer employees or just not having as many part-timers to cover it. Because just
Right.
that 39,000, just looking on your $859,000 budget, you'd have to be about 4.5% reduction to equal that 39,000, which is actually a reduction of 2.6 hours a week is what it is to basically equate to staff time to what you get from the Library Association or from the Southwest Kansas Area Library. That 39,000 is 2.6 hours of time. So going from 58 to 55, you'd basically be saving that $39,000 just by moving 3 hours less a week.
So does that cut you out of the accreditation if you cut hours then, or no?
It does. Yeah,
What,
we would no longer have access to, the technology is arguably the biggest thing for us. It would cut us completely out of that. We would have to, more or less, we'd have to hire somebody to do technology for antivirus, all of the updates that we have to do, managing the computers, managing the software, things like that.
Yeah.
So you've gotten bids for your air conditioner now? Who's the bid
Yes.
from?
The one that we have now that we're working off of is Glassman.
Okay.
Yes.
So the same outfit that's out at the wireless arena?
Yeah, and Kevin can answer any questions in regards to that. His staff went in there and looked at their first review, and I think they did a really deep dive in regards to the system to diagnose all the different issues that are occurring. It definitely does need redone out there. The system is original to the building, I believe. You want to talk to him a little bit, Kevin, about kind of the process?
Before we get into that, let me get back to the accreditation question for Carissa. Do you have any idea how many libraries in Kansas are either accredited or maybe how many are not accredited?
Any of the ones that are working in Kansas with one of the library, there's 5 library systems. Any of them that are working with that are accredited. I can't tell you how many there are across the whole state, but I know there are about 30 to 35 libraries in our system alone.
And that would be serving Western Kansas?
Yeah, Southwest Kansas, yeah. So there's 4 other ones that cover the rest of the state.
And they'll have to meet that 58-hour requirement?
It depends on their service size, so it depends on their population. Some of the ones that have much smaller populations, they don't require as many hours, but since we are considered a level 2 major service center, we have higher requirements.
The level 2 is the 25 to 100,000
Yes.
people? Wish there was some way to look at it, because 25 to 100,000 is a huge jump in
Yeah.
population and serviceability. I mean, look at Salina, Salina's 50+ thousand. I'd be interested to see how they compare with number of people coming through the door, services they provide. Because, we are a small library in the grand scheme of things compared to a lot of these larger ones, especially when you're talking from 25 to 100,000 population. That's a big difference.
Thanks.
I guess before you dig in, they've got you some temporary air conditioners, so you
Yes.
guys are comfortable now?
Yeah, for the most part, I would say probably most of the building is cool. There's a couple areas that are hot, but if people scoot over to where the ACs are, they're fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all yours. Floor's yours, brother.
All right. So the current system, like Nick said, is aged out. It's the original system. It's an R22 driven system, and we can no longer purchase that type of Freon. It is a little undersized for that building, so in this proposal, they do upsize that to a 60-ton unit, which would be plenty for this building. It also allow them to eliminate some of the separate condensers that they have on the outside of the building. So this would service the entire building with VAVs throughout. So each area, each office would have their own thermostat. It would be controlled remotely. So this is something that we would have to have a computer there on site that we would remote into to make any adjustments. They'd have a tolerance of what they would be able to heat and cool the building to, kind of similar to most hotels, where you can cool it down to 70 and heat it up to, a max of 76 or whatever we set that tolerance to. That just prevents kids from, messing with thermostats and things like that. Any of the maintenance issues that would pop up on that would come to us and let us know. So the library would have access to see those things and make very minor adjustments, but they would not be able to adjust any of the programming or controls. So when there is an issue, we'd be notified. We'd be able to go out, check the system, make sure that we can get them back up and running, or maybe isolate that piece of the system and keep the rest of the building running. So there is quite a bit of redundancy to this system that they're proposing. Do you guys have this? Okay, so the whole first page is all the things that were found that needed to be replaced. So once we got into it, you realize if we're replacing all these things, we might as well look at a complete new system. And there's only one part of the system that's current that would remain the same, and that is the air handlers. And they're in really good shape, so the main handlers. So we would keep those, but everything else would be adjusted. The pneumatic controls would go away. So all new VAVs be put in. They'd be put in the correct place, the correct spots in that building, where right now some of the old VAVs are not located in the right spot due to remodels and that over the years. So they have in here to have that corrected. It really is a nice system. It should last them a very long time. So should be very efficient compared to what's in there right now also. So there could be some cost savings there.
Phasing, we talked a little bit about phasing.
Oh, yeah, so the initial, there's not really a way to split it up any differently than the base bid and the control alternate. So in order to get them up and running and get them, at least the AC and operational VAVs would still be the 425. But then later on, maybe in early 2027, they could come back and finish out all the heat and programming and controls, which would be the 285.
I think what we kind of talked about as staff is, maybe split the cost for this year and, split the cost for the total project, kind of similar to what we did with the roof, and then give them a couple years to basically budget and pay back the remaining amount without having to completely take all their cash reserves. Is something that we kind of talked about on our end, and we can work with them in regards to that. The only other major, I think, maintenance item that's kind of out there is the elevator, and I think we were 80 to 100,000. I think is rough cost somewhere. Last time that you
I
guys looked
think
into
the quote that we got a couple years ago was about 150. No, that was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But that was kind of the ballpark of what we were working with, was 150,000.
So the elevator's functional now, or?
Yes, yes. So we did have a state inspector. We did a third-party inspector separate from our contracting service, just to make sure everything was on the up and up. They checked it. It is certified safe. They just said the big main thing is that it's 40 years old and they don't know how much longer it will last, but it is safe to use. It is not considered obsolete.
So all-in cost again is
It's the 710,000 with the 2% bond.
okay. And Nick, city staff would be proposing we cover half
We'd cover
out of
half.
pocket.
Yeah.
and then
Phase
there-
one Immediately,
Yeah.
and then the phase two would be next year's funds. It'd basically take place immediately, I think, in 27, correct? Right.
And then they would pay back all or just half?
Just half. This is similar to what we did with the roof recently.
Sorry, I remember the roof, but I just couldn't remember where it all landed. And then what, from a budget standpoint, appreciate the overview. We didn't kind of see the bottom line. I mean,
Sure.
any excess funding? Are you short funding? What,
No, at
how do
the-
those numbers
Right.
kind of work out? And that's ultimately
Sure.
how you pay the city
Yes,
back.
yes. So at the end of last year, we did actually earmark $100,000 out of that for capital improvement. So that would be reserved for half of this project. I am planning to add, originally I was planning to add another 50 this year, but I'm looking to see if there's any way we can maybe get that up a little higher. But 50,000 for this year is earmarked for that capital improvement project.
So, long-term, how do you foresee capital improvements long-term? I mean, this is a building that's built back in the 80s, I think.
Right.
Long-term, looking forward, I mean, what's kind of your thought? Is there other grant money out there for libraries? Is there?
So there are a couple that I'm looking into. I have to verify that we meet all the qualifications, but there are a couple that we've found that address libraries specifically. I still have to do some research into those to make sure
Right.
that they're viable, but there are a couple options out there that we might be able to qualify for. One of the biggest things that we run into with grants is that a lot of times they want it to be a rural library, and while we are technically rural, we are over the population of what they consider rural. So that's been kind of the challenge that we've been running into with finding grants that we meet the qualifications for.
Okay. And I know in the past, we did some fundraising stuff too, like cheese
Yes.
and something, wasn't it?
Yeah, we did do a wine and cheese. That was our library foundation.
Okay.
They actually decided to dissolve last year, so we're kind of looking at some other options of how we can put that on without them, because they were the main funders of that
Right.
fundraiser. So we are trying to look at some options to see what we can do without the foundation.
Okay.
Kevin, is Glassman still able to get this done now?
I actually checked in with Joe Glassman this morning, and the chiller that they're wanting to get for this project is still available. So they'd be able to get that turned around pretty quick.
And then we're still budgeting for electric repairs in that too?
So if it's necessary, we won't know for sure until they get into the project. But we had discussed that too, that the 15,000 that's in there for an allowance on the electrical side, we could handle that in-house and be able to save quite a bit of that 15,000, so.
Okay.
And far as the city goes, we have funds to flip out 700,000? Or where does those funds come from?
So we have the 425,000, they would come out of the capital improvement fund for 2026, and then I believe it's 285 that would come out of the 2027 budget funds for, we would include that for the 2027 budget for capital improvement.
But I think they're anticipating paying a portion of it this year to us. So it wouldn't be the full 425.
Yeah.
Capital improvement, so, I mean, we budgeted that to dollar for dollar. What project are we gonna skip back a year or two as a result of this?
I would need to look at that and see what projects we've done this year, what projects Kevin has scheduled, because I do know there was some projects possibly that were on there for 26 that for staffing reasons and such that we know they won't be able to be completed this year. So that's something we'll work through here as we are working into the 27 budget.
Are there any other questions for Carissa or staff?
You anticipate your mill levy staying the same?
I anticipate it, yes. I say, last time, I know when Nicole and I talked, but I know you guys are trying to keep that pretty flat and not much change to it, so I don't anticipate any huge changes with it.
If we were to be revenue neutral, they're gonna have to drop a little bit.
So one thing that is kind of unique with the library, and it goes back to the state grant. So there's some items that they have to qualify for, and one of those is that they have to receive at least the same amount of dollar funds, correct?
Yes, yeah, there has to be a show of maintenance of effort, either exact same or more,
Right.
so that we qualify for we do get a little grant from the state each year, and that is part of that, so.
So they can be revenue neutral.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yes.
Revenue neutral will be fine. Their mill levy may come down just slightly, but they're gonna be revenue neutral.
Yes.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that would be okay.
Yes.
Anything else from anybody? Guess if not, thank you for coming and giving us a presentation, and
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
yes. Guess at this time I will seek for adjournment of the study session.
So move?
Second.
All in favor, aye, or right hand? Those opposed, same sign. We are adjourned for the work session. Thank you. Well, good evening. It is Monday, June 15, 2026 at 7 p.m. Meeting number 5344 at the Dodge City Commission Chambers. Would the clerk please call roll?
Mayor Daniel Pope,
Here.
Commissioner Jeff Reiner,
Here.
Commissioner Chuck Taylor,
Here.
Commissioner Michael Burns,
Here.
Commissioner Rick Sauer.
Here.
Tonight we'll have invocation by Reverend Nathan Neugebauer of Holy Cross Lutheran Church.
Thank you. A reading of selections from Acts chapter 17. St. Paul preaching to the Greeks of Athens on the Areopagus. The God who made the world and everything in it, being Lord of heaven and earth, he himself gives to all mankind life and breath and everything. And he made from one man every nation of mankind to live on all the face of the earth, having determined allotted periods and the boundaries of their dwelling place, that they should seek God. The times of ignorance God overlooked, but now he commands all people everywhere to repent, because he has fixed a day on which he will judge the world in righteousness by a man whom he has appointed, and of this he has given assurance to all by raising him from the dead. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, every good thing anyone ever receives comes from you, out of pure grace and mercy for the sake of your Son, Jesus Christ. We thank you for your gifts of land and of country, your gifts of husband, wife, and family, of peaceful days and home. Your gift of this city has preserved for us, most importantly, the opportunity to hear and receive the blessed gospel and sacraments of Jesus Christ. His sacrifice for our sin on the cross has prepared an eternal home in your fatherly house for all who believe in him. Pour out with Christ the Holy Spirit to come and make your home in us, that we may live our days with the eternal peace of our sins forgiven, of reconciliation to God and to one another, and that we may make all remembrance and petition with the certain hope of the resurrection of the body and life in paradise with you. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we are going to remove item number 4 under new business, an approval for a KDOT agreement for Highway 50 and 14th Avenue. With that removal, I would seek a motion for approval of the agenda.
Your Honor, I'd make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any other further discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Carries 5-0. At this time, we'll have, under petitions and proclamations, we will have a proclamation, Kent Stalick Day proclamation. Megan Welsh is going to present on that.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Megan Welsh, the Director of the Convention and Visitors Bureau. Whereas there are individuals whose contributions have become so interwoven with the history, culture, and progress of a community that their legacy continues to shape its future long after their work is done. And Kent Allen Stalick was one of those individuals. And whereas after making Dodge City his home, Kent dedicated his life to public service, community development, historic preservation, and the arts, and becoming a champion for the people, places, and stories that define Ford County and Southwest Kansas. And whereas through his service as Ford County Commissioner, community leader, fundraiser, and advocate, Kent helped guide transformative projects including the Southeast Bypass, renovations of the historic Ford County Courthouse and Laura Locke Hotel, preservation of the Santa Fe Depot and the Ford County Legacy Center, and numerous historic and cultural landmarks throughout the region. And whereas Kent devoted countless hours to organizations dedicated to the history, preservation, education, and the arts, including the Ford County Historical Society, the Kansas Preservation Alliance, the Kansas Arts Commission, the Carnegie Center, Landmark Arts Project, the Dodge City Trail of Fame, helping ensure future generations would understand and appreciate the heritage of our community. And whereas known for his thoughtful leadership and unwavering belief that preserving our past strengthens our future, Kent became a trusted steward of Dodge City history and one of the most respected civic leaders. And whereas at the time of his passing, Kent remained actively engaged in the preserving of the heritage of Southwest Kansas, including his efforts to secure the future of the junior officers' quarters at Fort Dodge, a project that he was blessed to see completed. And whereas it is fitting that the citizens of Dodge City recognize and celebrate a man whose vision, leadership, and devotion left a lasting mark on the community he loved.
Now therefore, I, Daniel Pogue, Mayor, do hereby proclaim June 24, 2026 as Kent Stalick Day, and encourage all citizens to honor his memory by supporting the arts, preserving our shared history, investing in future generations, and continuing the work of strengthening the community that he loves so dearly. Be it further resolved that the Convention and Visitors Bureau will host a complimentary historic trolley tours on June 24, 2026 in honor and celebration of Kent Stalick Day, and encourage residents and visitors alike to celebrate the history, arts, and culture heritage that Kent worked tirelessly to preserve. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand this 15th day of June, 2026.
Thank you so much. I will mention that there is a memorial service on June 24th from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock p.m. over at the Carnegie Center of the Arts, and we encourage everyone who Kent knew and loved to come and join us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, we will have the visitor section. It is limited to 5 minutes per individual and 15 minutes per topic. Final action may be deferred until next city commission meeting unless an emergency situation does exist. This time, I would ask that anybody come forward.
We have a list of
Wanna
people
do-
who signed up in order, so you can call up whoever's first.
Okay. First on the list is Jolene Cole.
Good evening. My name is Jolie Chris Coles. I live at 101 Plaza Terrace here in Dodge City. Thank you for the opportunity to visit with you this evening. Also, thank you for access to your master water plan. As I couldn't find it on your 2030 comprehensive plan, there mentions nothing about the purchase of water rights. I thought Tanner did a great job presenting that, so obviously we have a lot of good staff at the City of Dodge City. I appreciate the fact that as commissioners that you have been proactive about the water needs of Dodge City and Ford County residents. I do wonder why, when you put a plan in action, you weren't also asking what is the best way to acquire water? What is the best way to acquire water rights? It's been my understanding that no landowner has been that the city has not gone to a landowner to purchase water rights, that the individuals have come to them. So I'm also wondering why the purchase for Dodge City wasn't looked at more from a Ford County landowner, such that Ford County landowners would actually be the ones benefiting from the purchase, whether it be $10 million or anything else. The city administrator has stated that the city has not approached landowners, but they believe that it's a good deal. I'm wondering why we think this is a good deal. is this a better deal than what we were approached by before? And just exactly how do we know that? I think it would be important to have some transparency with the public on water rights purchases and opening it up to anyone in Ford County that would like to sell their water rights. And I'm also wondering if the city purchases water rights, can they then turn around and sell them? So, for instance, as an example, if we use the purchase that is on the agenda for tonight, could the city purchase those water rights and then in turn turn around and sell them to someone else? Now, I know that you've continually said, we will not be providing water for data centers, but you could also purchase said water rights and then turn around and sell them to a data center. And I don't think there's, a lot of transparency with that as well. Lastly, the moment that the city entered into any kind of talks with JR Farms or Reinert Partnerships, Commissioner Reinert should have resigned from the commission. Not abstained from voting, resigned. There was a conflict of interest from the very beginning. He was not able to be impartial when he's receiving, whether it be 30% of 10 million or 1%. Or if anyone in his family was receiving any kind of benefit, that was clearly a conflict of interest. So I feel like refraining from voting was not enough. And I would encourage the commission to table the purchase tonight and ask for the immediate resignation of Commissioner Reinert, as he obviously had his own priorities in order. Because if nothing else, you're purchasing water rights for $2,600, but you're allowing him to purchase back at $150. There seems to be a major, volume between those two things. I'd also encourage you to develop and communicate a plan to landowners such that they could, whether it be as an individual or even come together with other landowners to sell their water rights.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, your 5 minutes are
5
done.
minutes?
Yep. So we'll have to move on to the next visitor.
Okay,
Thank you.
do you have any questions for me?
No.
No? Okay, thank you.
Up next, we have Leah Schreiner. Is that right?
Hi, I'm Lila Schreiner. I live southwest of Dodge City, on the way towards Ensign. And my question, or what I'm wondering, is how the water being taken from your farm is going to affect all of the farms and all of the wells of people that live in that area, if it's going to deplete our water more. I don't understand exactly how it all works. I know that you don't use the pumping for irrigation year-round, so with it coming out of the ground year-round, if the city is using it, it's going to take a lot more than what is being taken right now with the Reinert's farming. And I understand that selling your water rights is a lot more lucrative than farming because you don't have all the expenses and everything. So I don't blame you for wanting to do that, but I feel like it's kind of not very neighborly if it's taking the water from, our community out there. I know that Tanner was talking about commercial businesses that need a lot of water that would require like 200,000 gallons a day or something like that. I don't know if anyone has approached for something like that, but if you guys would listen to the people of Dodge City doesn't really want that type of business. They want businesses that they can go to and shop. They want entertainment businesses. They want restaurants. They want things like that. And that keeps the people spending their money in Dodge City, where right now, if anybody wants to shop, they go to Garden City or they go, to Wichita or something like that. So I think focus needs to be more on maybe the things that would keep the money in Dodge City and bring sales tax and everything like that to Dodge City rather than to other communities. And the other thing I was just going to say was on the new housing that's all being built, I don't know if they have any incentives to do the, I don't even know what it's, zero landscaping where they use the plants and things that take less water. I think that would be a good incentive maybe for some of the builders rather than, trying to find ways to cut down on water use. But that's about all I have, so thank you.
Thank you. Up next, Brenda Fry.
I'm Brenda Fry, a third-generation landowner with sixth-generation boots on the ground. Our farm is 5 miles west of Ford, Kansas, and we are strong, long-standing, non-irrigation, dry land, cattle-raising small business. I'm requesting that you take those of us living out in the county into consideration as you vote on the water rights purchases. We will be the first to lose our home and livestock water supply. We have had to drop our windmills and electric pumps to lower levels already to meet living and livestock needs as the aquifer that supplies western and central Kansas as it is being depleted. And that's the High Plains Aquifer, which includes the Ogallala Aquifer, which is under all of us. So not only is it affecting county people, it's a wide area that we're affecting when we start losing our water and depleting that supply. The city and county has approved water guzzling industries, 2 packing houses, cheese factory, and an enlargement of a feedlot facility, plus other things. There are several things in place indicative of meeting the needs of data centers, such as options to purchase land for a natural gas plant. This land is in proximity to a power substation and transmission line land owned by Grain Belt Express. That was purchased for a large battery storage. These are prerequisites for data centers, as they must have their own power supply when the grid goes down. That's a state requirement. I also see these water purchases as prerequisites for the water supply for data centers, as Groundwater District 3 is no longer granting appropriations. They must acquire water from municipalities like Dodge City or find other ways around the inability to be appropriated water on their own. So I thank you for listening to my concerns, and I appreciate your consideration.
Thank you. Thank you. Up next, Mark Miller.
My name is Mark Miller, and I live in Ford County here in Dodge City. Just a statement that I would start with. I don't understand why our county only look, we look at things as if there's an infinite amount of water, that it'll never, will just never run out or run low. And I'm talking over 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, instead of just tomorrow, yes, we have plenty of water. We do, that's the one attraction that we have, and it's pretty consistent. The businesses that want to come here are extremely, high water usage. Doesn't matter if it's a dairy or a cheese plant or what it is. Or the data center. Some data centers, it depends on their design as far as how much water is required. I understand that. My question is, when we buy water rights, and I'd like any one of you to answer, X amount of acres of land, how many gallons of water are we buying? Just from a farmer's standpoint, and in talking to people that live west of Dodge City, our water supply is dropping pretty rapidly. Irrigation wells that maybe 10 or 15 years ago pumped 800 or 900 gallons a minute. That same well today might pump 250 gallons a minute. And I don't understand, and that's why I'm here with the questions. What is our, how are we promised, water rights, and yet 5 years from now, maybe that same well that today pumps 250 gallons a minute, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, maybe it pumps 100 gallons a minute. Maybe a lot of them are abandoned because they get so low, they start pumping sand. And I really would like any or all of you to answer, number one, how much water are we actually acquiring under any given piece of land? That varies too. Some land, there is abundant water. 5 miles away, it's near nothing. And I would love to hear, how much water does $10 million buy, and how long is it, is it viable 5 years or 25 years or 50 years? I have no idea. So I just feel free to answer.
Thank you. Last up, Jaquan Graves.
Hi, mayors and commissioners. My name is Jaquan Graves. I've had the pleasure to meet some of you guys, well, all of you guys. So I understand the need to secure water rights for the future Dodge City. But today, as the memorandums were released, I just had some questions just regarding the contract on things. So a couple of things is, first I'd like to know, when did negotiations begin? Who initiated them? Was it the city? Was it Reiner Partnerships? And would the city be able to provide some type of timeline to the public about, when all that came about to tonight's vote? When I read the contract, it said that it's effective as of June 1st, and it's scheduled to close July 1st. And so for a $10 million purchase, we're only given a 30-day due diligence, and that's the only due diligence that's provided. And, my question is, if this opportunity has been in the work for months or years, why the rush? I know that when we say that we're looking for water rights, I've been to the last couple of meetings that, we take our time with this. So I guess I'm asking is why the rush right now? And so would it be a loss for allowing additional time to review this? Also, was there any independent or third-party appraisals? I didn't know if I was able to pick that up when the city went out there and checked the land. And then the city's supposed to pay $2.5 million upfront, and we're going to finance the remaining $7.5 million at a 3.5% interest rate over a 20-year span. So my question is what is the total amount that citizens are ultimately going to pay once the principal and the interest are combined for this deal? The contract allows the seller to lease water rights back to the city, and that was mentioned before, but When I looked through the contract, it's only $50 per acre foot, while the city's purchasing the water rights itself for $2,680 per square foot. So I guess how is that lease, how is that lease back rate determined? And is that a good return on investment for the city? And then finally, with Commissioner Reiner and his involvement with it, I understand that he recused himself publicly for June 1st and June 8th, the June 8th study session. I just want to know, what point did recusal begin? And what I mean by that is, was he excluded from executive sessions? Was he excluded from negotiations, communications regarding transactions? Was he not involved, or was he or was he not involved with this process upon public recusal? And then lastly, I'd just like to thank you guys because this is a tough matter. No way you can look around it. It is a tough matter, and you guys are being proactive. And I know out on the campaign trail that was said amongst some of the commissioners about being proactive, and I appreciate you guys stepping forward and continuing to do that. We absolutely do need water, and I believe everyone in this room understands that. But for me, the question is not whether we need the water, but whether is this deal that we're doing right here the right deal for Dodge City. And if there's any safeguards or parameters for future issues regarding potential commissioners and business with the city. So, thank you all.
Thank you. That will conclude who signed up to speak tonight. So at this time, we will close the visitor section.
There may be other topics.
Yeah, unless there's other topics or issues that need to be addressed. Seeing none, we will continue. At this time, I seek a motion for the consent calendar, or if any commissioner would like to remove anything off there, to do so.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to present, or to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. Same sign for those opposed. Motion carries 5-0. At this time, we will move into, we have no ordinances and resolutions. We'll move into unfinished business, which is the approval of water rights sale contract with J&R Farms and Reinert Partnership. Report by Nick Hernandez, City Manager.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'm going to recuse myself and sit in the audience. Thank you.
Mayor, Commissioners, since our last meeting, I've had one individual contact me directly in regards to having some questions. I've had two other individuals contact me prior to the study session and immediately following the study session. But that was via reaching out to other commissioners. But outside of that, I have not had any contact, or anyone's contacted our office in regards to any other questions or concerns they've had directly to our offices or staff. The only other inquiries we've had some folks come and present themselves as having some water rights, but that was actually even before the last meeting. So we're in the process of evaluating those water rights currently. But with that, I'd be happy, or myself or any of our staff members would be happy to answer any questions or comments that the commission may have.
Any questions for Nick? Comment?
Well, I mean, I would like to answer, Mark, Mr. Miller had to ask a question. Can you touch on that to answer his question?
Yeah, I think his question had to do with the water rights and how much water we're getting on each piece of land and tract of land. So it varies substantially, as he was stating. The land that in question for tonight, we actually have looked at in several different ways. In 2009, Bob Vincent is a well-known hydrogeologist with almost 40 years of experience, actually studied that farm and looked at those water rights in particular in that area and determined that there was at least minimum 50 years at that time. We went, as far as staff, we looked at the static water levels from 20 and 25 years ago in wells in the immediate area of these water rights. The saturated thickness is 100 to 105 feet. The static water levels only dropped 2 and 5 feet respectively in that 20 to 25 year period. So effectively, you have well over 300 to 400 years of life, given the amount of water that's being taken from the aquifer. The amount of water that's going to be taken is actually less than what can be irrigated with, because the state of Kansas requires cities to take a 10% reduction. So if there is 100 acre feet of water rights available, the city can only pump 90 acre feet of that. So you're already substantially less than what is currently allowed to be pumped off of that acreage. One of the things that we've talked about in previous meetings is talking about resting wells and resting areas of wells. We have primarily 2 areas that we get our water rights currently. One that's in south near the wastewater treatment facility. The other one is in the city limits. With a third area or zone, you actually are resting not only the aquifer, but you're also resting the wells in the immediate vicinity in regards to having a third separate location to look at. And I think, as far as gallons, we did spend a lot of time. There was a pump test that was done just recently on one of those wells. It was pumping in the 1,400 gallons a minute for 72 hours and had very little effect in regards to the aquifer. It rebounded very quickly in that area with very little issues. And we have wells in the city that over time have drastically degraded. And I think Corey mentioned that at our last meeting. I think he can answer any questions in regards to our well field. And of course, from a technical aspect, either Ray or Corey can answer those questions. Tanner, unfortunately, is sick today, so he wasn't able to make our meeting. So, but those 2 gentlemen are definitely, combined, they have 40 plus years of experience in dealing with water rights, water issues, the city, aquifer, and looking at these different issues and experience with looking at water rights in our immediate area and how it's changed over time. So they can definitely answer any technical questions you may have.
Okay, thank you. The only other question that I would the folks that got up and spoke, I'd like to just try to answer some of their questions. Transparency, I'm as transparent as it gets. If there's something that you need that you haven't seen, I can get it to you, or staff can get it to you. I've been accused of a lot of things over the last 3 weeks, and not being transparent is not one of them, because I have nothing to hide here. My job as a city commissioner, I feel, is to provide police, fire, water, and sewer. And those are the most important things to me. Granted, with the comments that were made about depletion of the aquifer, that's statewide. I mean, I think we need to figure out a way to conserve water. Yeah, granted, we have 2, 3 high users in town, but I don't think we can do much about that. I've known Jimmy Dean Ryder for 35 years, and I think just looking at it from the numbers that I see, he's basically leaving $4 million on the table compared to the rights we just bought in December. I think he's fair with this price. I don't like the optics with the sitting commissioner sitting here, but I do think it's a fair price. I don't know. Other than the data centers. I mean, I thought we made that clear. We're not going to provide water to the data centers. Granted, if they go out and purchase property, they can drill their own well. I can't control that. It's sitting here as a commissioner. So And that's about all I got. If anybody else?
Maybe a couple more. We haven't talked about this in executive session. Everybody has had full transparency in regards to everything we have discussed as commissioner in regards to these water rights. It's been in public meetings, it's been on social media, and it is available on the internet. Pertaining to the total amount due, including interest, that was an option for us to do. We would also have the option to outright buy the water rights at the identified purchase price. I think the thought process there was 3.5% interest is less than the interest rate that you can provide that we would be able to find in the municipal market as a city. Regarding the leaseback, it's a great question, it's a great observation. I don't know that everybody up here on this platform fully agrees with how we would move forward, but I know at least two of us are of the mindset that any water rights we buy, we should not be leasing back, we should shut off the wells. So I mean, those are just a couple of others in regards to, and maybe one other, I know the question was maybe in regards to, you know, how can you sell these water rights back to someone else after closing? We certainly would have that opportunity, but we also have the opportunity to put in really define what we can and will do in the future and what we will not do in the future. And again, to what Commissioner Taylor has said, I feel like we have been very forthcoming in regards to our commitment not to provide existing city water or city water rights that are purchased to data centers. Period. The end.
For cooling of data centers.
So, just a few other things that have kind of came up here in the process of thinking through the remarks that were said in the visitors section.
Any other comments or questions for Nick? And I know,
I do have one more question, sorry. I know one-on-one, I had visited with the city manager in regards to the potential to secure an option for us to have 6 to 7 more months for additional due diligence to accept public proposals, and just to further increase transparency and make sure we're getting the best deal. Is that an option? Is an option at this point, or is the deal we have in front of us the deal we have to make action on
As of
tonight?
this moment, what is on the table is the only option for the commission.
Okay.
And one other email that I got today was about the total end cost was $30 million. So in that being said, that's infrastructure, that's 3 or 4 or 5 wells at this location, that's total. It's a functioning well field that we're gonna use to move water into Dodge City.
That's correct. Yeah, because you're looking at approximately, I think, 600 to 800 acre feet per well site. And with that capacity of what we've seen with the 1,400 gallons a minute, we wouldn't pump it 1,400 gallons a minute. We'd probably pump them at that 400 to 800 gallons a minute, it's probably in that range. I mean, if we could pump them more, maybe. But with that being said, they would basically be a 24/7, 365 well, or they have the capability to do so. Similar rights, you know, you really need to have in that 400 to 500 acre feet range in order to justify of actual rights that we can pump. So you actually have to have 10% greater than that in order to justify the cost of putting a well into production.
Okay, thank you. And then one other question that I had was, you know, in order for us to buy water rights, we don't go soliciting that we're buying water rights. And I've had several people say, well, why don't we? Could you go into a little bit of detail why complex it is to buy water rights and how much water and the acreage of, you know, per acre feet?
I'll leave that to the experts because they deal with this a lot. Ray or Corey, could you answer that question?
In the past, we have not solicited to purchase water rights. When the need arises, we kind of look for somebody, or they come to us and they offer their water rights at a price. We do our due diligence and determine, the quality and quantity of that right or combination of rights in the area, and then negotiate a price, and then that is brought in front of the commission for approval. We haven't ever, that I can remember, set out and publicized that the city was interested in purchasing water rights. It's always been somebody's come to us with an offer. So
this would be the largest water right we've purchased in city history, as far as gallons or acre feet, all in one area?
As far as I know, this would be the largest amount of water rights that we would purchase. Previously, we had reserved the rights when we did the South wastewater plant, where we exchanged effluent for water, but that was a reservation, kind of a one-for-one type of deal. And that was about 4,500 acre feet at that point in time, but that was 40 years ago.
Since that time, National Beef did exercise that right of purchase. So we worked with them probably 20 years ago now, that we worked with them, and National Beef purchased those rights. And they own the water rights, and we helped pay half of the development costs for the wells, I believe. And then we actually maintain those wells on behalf of National for them. But they are in our system.
Okay.
And how much of that water is reused?
99% of it, 98%, yeah.
Yeah, about everything that goes to the South wastewater plant is recycled and then irrigated over the cropland. A few percentage of that goes to the north plant does in the wintertime get discharged if it is a cold or wet winter and the golf course pond is full. But we only have a minimum amount of days that we can actually discharge water from the north plant.
And how many times have you won Community of the Year award for the recycling plant?
We've lost count, and actually the state has kind of asked us not to apply some years because they wanted some other communities to have that opportunity.
Because of the fact that such a high percentage of our water draw is put back in as a reuse.
It is definitely recycled. I mean, being in Southwest Kansas, being in this part of the world, we know what our water restrictions and are, and we have to use the water more than once. We can't just pull it out of the ground and irrigate with it, or pull it out of the ground and consume it and things like that. So we do have to recycle it.
And who normally sits in the negotiation for water rights?
That would be administration and department heads.
And how many times have commissioners sat in on that negotiation?
None that I recall.
I will say, we're currently looking at 28 different water rights right now at this moment, and that's with 7 different landowners. One landowner has not sent me all of his information yet, but currently 28 different water rights we're looking at with at least 6 landowners.
And if we did make the purchase tonight of these water rights, what percentage of water rights do we still need to acquire to get us to that 50-year mark? You know? Is this 20% of the water? Is this 50% of the water? Is it 100% of the water?
I don't know the number off the top of my head, but we need to basically almost double what we have or availability to us
right now
by 2044, 2050.
I was thinking with this purchase, it equaled to 47%, so we'd still have 53% more to be able to have to purchase to meet that qualifier.
That's the number I thought you said during the work session, so.
I know those questions come up. I mean, I've got asked about it. I mean, we buy acre feet of water, doesn't mean it's there. I mean, how are we guaranteeing that there's ever going to be an acre foot of water there, even if we buy these and we don't use them for 30 years?
Well, for one, we talk with the farmer, we, pump the wells, physically see the water pumping. We perform drawdown tests, we perform static water level tests to see how the well's going to perform. In some cases, we'll reach out to well companies to have them pump the wells for us, to give us tests on those wells to make sure that they're performing in the way that the person getting rid of them says they will, so.
Well, and the farm guy has to report all that to the state too, so that data's out there. It's just a matter of us due diligence to find it.
It is, but they're not always pumping the well to the potential.
Right.
So there could be more potential, there could be less potential. It could be drawing down below the screens. There's lots of different factors that go into that piece.
Yeah.
So I know we also talk with neighbor farmers in the area. We also talk with groundwater management district professionals. We talk with Kansas Geological Survey. It kind of just depends on what our concerns on. We also talk with technical professionals from third-party engineering companies that have experience in both drilling, water rights, hydrogeology, just to ensure that what we're seeing makes sense and mirrors and kind of what they perceive based upon their analysis that they've performed throughout the state. One individual we've worked with extensively is Brian Meyer with Burns McDonnell. Brian Meyer worked for Lane Western for 15, 20 years, and I think he's worked for Burns McDonnell for almost 30 years. He is a Western Kansas well and water right expert. Individual has helped several communities throughout Western Kansas and state of Kansas. Worked with Tracy Streeter, who was the Kansas Water Office Chief Engineer, I believe.
Chief Engineer.
And he's retired. He 20 plus years of experience as Chief Engineer for the state of Kansas. He lived, breathed water. That was all. So I had him help us, and then we also had Bob Vincent, who did the study on the Reinert's rights. Like I said previously, he has 40 plus years of experience. He was the expert, period, in the state of Kansas for a long period of time. Now we have been utilizing an up-and-coming gentleman as well to help us with a lot of our hydrogeology questions and concerns, and he was kind of taught by Bob Vincent and the other Kansas Geological Survey guys that are the experts in the state when it comes to groundwater, the history of groundwater. And we discussed this previously in other meetings. Reinert's water rights are in a very unique situation. There's and Tanner mentioned this at our study session, there's a very deep and narrow channel that sits on the edge of a very high geological formation, which allows for a tremendous amount of this runoff that doesn't hit the aquifer because it runs off this underground mountain and basically hits that channel. And then from that channel, then it disperses out. And so with that hydrogeological study, it basically showed that there was a recharge, a very substantial recharge in that area of those wells. And that channel is about 100 foot deeper than some of the surrounding water rights that are in that area. So his channel's in the 300 to 315 foot range. If you get within 2 or 3 miles of that, it goes to about 240 to 200 range. So there's definitely a drastic change in the aquifer in that immediate area.
Our wells south of town are 220 feet.
And Corey, the number of customers that you have on your water system, do some of them not live within the boundaries of the city of Dodge City?
And there's several that don't. Yeah, there's quite a few outside the city limits.
In fact, the city of Wright is on.
City of Wright, yep.
And I guess, Nick, for those who've gotten some confusion between an ad valorem fund and a revenue fund, could you kind of describe to them where the funding for this type of purchase comes from?
So the water fund is only funded through water bills, basically to our customers. So if you don't pay a water bill, you don't participate in the water fund. Property taxes have absolutely zero effect whatsoever on the water fund. They're not relying upon the water fund or upon property taxes to fund or subsidize the water fund.
In fact, if you bonded this amount, what would the responsibility of property owners be?
They'd be responsible for full payback, and we would actually have to.
Through a revenue bond, though.
Through a revenue bond, we'd actually have to do a full-blown analysis and look at the rates. Our current rates are as such that we would not have any concerns, and that is largely in part to the review that we've done with our large industrial customers. A lot of people don't realize that 6 years ago, we actually tripled the water bill to National Beef. Actually, more than that. By the time they had penalties for overuse, they were at the 33 cents per 1,000 gallons, and they're now paying $1.
I'd say $1.13, 14 is
What
what's
they
in my
pay,
head. Yeah.
and they own the water rights. So they're paying, like I said, 3 times more than what they were 6 years ago. That has helped us tremendously in the water fund. Cargill does get a water allotment from the city as well, but they pay out-of-town rates, and they pay, which is basically 2 times what our internal residents pay per 1,000 gallons. And then Coke does have a small allotment, but it's very small, what they have access to. And then Hillmar, they do pay city water rate as well. But we've worked into their agreement that there is some ability for us to recoup some of our costs in later years as part of their development agreement.
I guess going forward too, do we know like when GMD3 cuts are made like 27, 28, what does that do for us in like undeveloped water rights or, I mean, does those cuts affect us at all?
No.
As of right now, no.
And have they hinted at, will they ever affect us? Do we know? Or
I don't know if they have a crystal ball to look into that.
Right.
That's a question that I don't know if anybody can answer right now, but I think the city would have a good argument in the fact that we own almost 11,000 acre feet of water, but we're only allowed to pump 7,300 acre feet. And that's even after the conversion from irrigation to municipal. So we're taking a 30% cut on what we own already.
Basically, what we're leaving on the table is about as much as what we're trying to purchase.
Yeah.
So in both you guys' eyes, this is a good investment for the community of Dodge City in order to have water rights for the next 25 years or 7 years or.
Since I've started meeting with people, you know, not just now, but in the past, reviewing all of this, you know, this is probably the best opportunity I've seen in a very long time. So, you know, I think it's a wonderful deal. You know, I worry at this point, if we don't do it, what we're going to be looking at in 50 years.
Yeah, because honestly, the conditions today, if this doesn't pass, tomorrow the conditions are exactly the same. We need water.
Yep.
That's right.
So. And I think, you know, I think somebody asked like, well, how do you value your water right purchases? I think past history gives us that valuation. I think that, you know, we just purchased water rights in the fall of last year. It was $3,750 an acre foot. And not only that, is there smaller rights. And so I think the number that we saw in the work session was $28,000 an acre foot to develop that well, complete all in to get into the system versus what we're estimating right now at $7,000 an acre foot or $8,000. I think it was $7,700 and some change for development of the water rights, and that's all in cost. including the purchase price of the water rights. So I think that's how we value it. I think that's when we look at the total all input cost, and maybe people are, that have the criticism are probably somewhat correct, although we still do value the all-in cost, because that's most likely, and again, we're not involved in the negotiation side of this, but our experts are involved in that, and I don't think they would recommend to us purchasing any water right that's excessively expensive to develop and cost, no matter how close it is necessarily to the community. We have water rights right now that are relatively close to the community, but they're high in nitrates. So it's really an undevelopable well. And that's the frustrating part, is at some point in time, a commission bought those water rights in full expectation of being able to develop and use those water rights. But as the testings came about over the years, nitrates infiltrated into those water wells, and they become unusable for us or untenable for us to pump.
Or at a higher cost.
Or at a higher cost to do that. We also have to look in the long range that we may at some point in time, with certain attributes to the water, have to put in reverse osmosis type of a system. And that's going to be incredibly costly. Like what we're talking about tonight is not even the entry level into those types of facilities and plants. Plus the daily operational cost to run those plants. And as Tanner said last meeting, the waste from that product is enormous. So yeah, you might be able to put in 1,000 acre feet of water into a facility that's reverse osmosis, but you may have 20% waste channel. And that's just water that's not going to be done anywhere other than put out on the ground. And so if you can't even recycle it, I'm sorry, I misstated. You can't put it on the ground. You have to deep well inject that, is what I understand.
It goes away forever.
Yeah.
There's no reusing it.
Yeah.
You lose that water to the water cycle.
Yeah. So those are the kind of criteria that we look at, so. I just want to thank staff for their tremendous amount of work and efforts that they put into this. I know it's been a long project. It's been a little of a weird project for you guys because we do have a sitting commissioner that is on this, and I think you guys have taken great pains to shield us from that. I think the first time I heard of who actually was looking at these water rights was somewhere in the fall of last year as we progressed into purchasing the other water rights. And so I think staff has done an incredible job of doing the negotiations for this. Commissioner Reiner, I commend him also. I don't think he has an issue myself. I have never spoken with Commissioner Reiner about water issues. I don't talk to, honestly, most of these people up here on any kind of a daily basis ever. So I think this idea that we collude or have some kind of a backroom conversation somewhere, I can 100% tell you that any conversation that has to do with the city is done here and done on camera. And that includes Commissioner Reiner. So I just don't think he has an issue. I think he's done the appropriate taking himself out of any of the conversations. So, but I understand, like Commissioner Taylor, I understand the optics.
Anything further?
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
So is there any action on this item?
Yeah, and I'll remake my motion from the last meeting. I'll move that we approve the water right purchase and contract from JR Farmers and Reiner Partnerships as presented.
I would second it.
We have a motion and a second for approval. Yes, all in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Motion dies at 2-2. Is there anything else we need to do, Paige?
That's motion fails 2 to
Motion
2.
fails.
So that motion is rejected and we move on to the next item of business.
Okay. At this time, we'll move on to new business. First up under new business is approval of purchase of 3 variable frequency drives to maintain and enhance the efficiency of the city's water well infrastructure. Report by Corey Keller, Public Works Director.
Mayor, Commissioners, I'm here tonight to request purchase of VFD equipment from Border States for 3 wells in the amount of $53,800. These will be VFDs that will be placed inside the wells to remove some of the soft start equipment that was originally put in the well. A lot of the infrastructure inside the wells are older, and you can't get parts for a lot of the soft starts anymore. So these are wells that still have very old soft starts in them. So well 4 is a 124 horsepower unit. Well 10 is a 60 horsepower unit, and well 17, which would be a 75 horsepower unit. So these units are normal duty, 460 volt 3-phase motors that include manual controls such as hand off and auto selectors and speed patinal mount, yeah, I can't say that at all, for precise control. Currently, there are 6 other wells within the city system, wells 27, 22, 29, 22, 9, 8, 7, and 6 that utilize the same style VFDs. This is standardizing equipment across locations, which ensures consistency in the maintenance and operational training. The price below well 4, the total cost of that VFD was $21,700. Well 10 was $15,600. Well 17 was $16,500 for the total amount of $53,800. There is $150,000 in the budget, in this year's budget for this purchase. It was a budgeted purchase, and that would leave $96,200 on the table there. So that I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Corey, do we keep any spares of any of this around, or is it pretty easy to get?
It's usually pretty easy to get. I haven't had any troubles ordering, but every one that we've purchased, we have not done any maintenance to them. But typically 6 to 8 weeks if I have to have one.
Any other questions for Corey?
Your Honor, I'd move to approve the purchase of VFD equipment from Border States in a total amount of $53,800.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Corey. Up next, we have approval of proposal for repair and replacement of Trail of Fame medallions. Report by Megan Welsh, Director of the Dodge City Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Assistant City Manager Melissa McCoy. I'll report on this on behalf of Megan for the Dodge City Convention and Visitors Bureau. Here tonight, recommending the approval of the proposal from Janet Zobel to repair and restore the Trail of Fame medallions for approximately $30,000. So the Dodge City Convention and Visitors Bureau staff has been working with the original artist for the medallions, Janet Zobel, and to evaluate the different options for repairing and restoring the Trail of Fame medallions. I like to call those the Dodge City's answer to the Hollywood Walk of Stars or medallions that we have here. So I think most folks are familiar with them. And based on her recommendations, the medallions, the majority of them could be lightly sandblasted to remove the existing finish and surface defects, and followed by a polishing of the raised surface. And the medallions would then receive a new patina and protective sealant to restore their appearance and extend their service life. We also did consult with a restoration company in Loveland, Colorado that works with bronze. However, the finishing process that they have differs from the original finish. And so this is really a sole source bid because they're limited companies that do this type of restoration work across the country, and so it also was beneficial for us to work with the original artist. So since 2003, the program that we have of the Trail of Fame medallions has extended to about 32 medallions that recognize individuals and important events to Dodge City history. And I would say it's probably one of our visitors' favorite things to do, and also probably our locals as well. And so the Ford County Historical Society has funded the additional purchase of 6 new medallions that are also waiting installation. And so with looking at this, as we mentioned, the cost is approximately $30,000, and so the restoration cost per medallion is $565, and for an estimated total of $15,255. And then the replacement cost is about $1,755 for an estimated cost of $8,775. Megan did share with me tonight, we were also fortunate to have some funding when the Mariah Fund was closing up operations of their organization. They provided the Dodge City Convention and Visitors Bureau with a grant of about $11,000, which we could also be used in addition to the Downtown Streetscape Fund to fund the restoration and replacement of these medallions. And right now, there's no legal considerations. However, following the purchase, if this is approved, we'll work with city attorney to draft that agreement. And you have the proposal in here from ProMark Management to do the work on the medallions. So I'll go ahead and open it up for questions.
I have one more comment. We do have funds that are going to be set aside within the Star Bond expansion project that will help accelerate some new medallions as part of that funding that we're going to be working towards with the state of Kansas. I believe it was $40,000 or $50,000, I think we set aside. I can't remember the exact amount, but we did set aside some funds to put new medallions downtown.
So walk me through this. You're going to remove the medallions, send them to the artist, and then bring them back, or this is done in place?
They'll actually be sent to the foundry for the work. The majority of the medallions, many of the medallions have already been removed through the streetscape process, and so the city has those in storage, and so then we would be working with them to ship them, and the shipping cost is included in what this is, and that organization is actually in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I just didn't understand whether they were sandblasting them here and then repatining them, or...
Yep. They'll actually be going to the foundry directly.
So there'd be additional cost to install them back when we get them back then?
So that would be part of the streetscape process, so it's part of that work that we have. We have actually some markers that are within, like the walking paths or the sidewalks now, that have been left as markers where those will be going in, and so that's part of that process.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Melissa? Any action on this item? I'd make a motion that we approve the bid to restore the medallions for a cost of approximately $30,000 to Janet Zobel Repair and Restoration.
I'd second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, or any further discussion? If all in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Melissa. Last up, we have approval of MOU with Great Jobs KC to assist the Human Resource Department with recruitment and retention efforts. A report by Paige Gilmore, City Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. So tonight before you is a memorandum of understanding with Great Jobs KC. They're a Kansas City-based nonprofit that also has full-time staff based here in Dodge City. Their whole mission is to match their candidate pool with good good jobs. And the city of Dodge City has a lot of openings for good jobs. Part of what Great Jobs KC provides is some job specific training. So for example, if the city needed CDL drivers and they had applicants who were interested in filling that position, but they didn't have a CDL license, Great Jobs funding, not city funding at all, but Great Jobs funding would be able to provide resources to those candidates that they might not otherwise have to get the skills that they need to qualify for our jobs. This does not require us to hire their candidates. We still get to hire whoever we think is the best qualifying candidate. And it does not require any financial commitment from the city at all. It is just a partnership where we work with them and look at their applicants that they send us. That's the only thing that we're basically agreeing to do, is to look at the applicants that they send us and put them through our process. And then we can communicate with them what needs we have, and they might be able to fulfill those needs through their funding by providing job-specific training.
Are there any questions for Paige?
Just curious, how did we come up with Great Jobs Kansas City? How did we get hooked up with them? Were they reaching out to us, or did we reach out to them, or?
Actually, as part of the Patterson Family Foundation is kind of the overarching entity that funds the greater Great Jobs KC, and there was an application made by the Ford County Economic Development Group and with partnership with DC3 and the high school to basically have this partnership with the city and with the school district. And basically what they're going to do, from my understanding, is they're going to provide the funding gap that there currently exists for the technical programs related to construction, electrical, mechanical programs that are more the trades focused. So that way students don't have to come up with anything out of pocket. They basically will support them. But there's also significant requirements on their front of like life skills. There's a lot of other additional job training that they have to meet on the greater Great Jobs KC side of it, that will basically set them up to be ready to get a really good
So
job.
they'll work with the high school and the college as well?
They are, and it's primarily with those individuals in the high school that are going to be transitioning over to the junior college.
Your Honor, I'd move to approve the MOU with Great Jobs of Kansas City.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Paige. We have no other business. Staff reports. Nick?
This Wednesday is the League of Kansas Municipalities League City Forum. They're going to be here in Dodge City. At 5 o'clock is when they're going to start dinner, and then I believe they'll go into their program kind of immediately following that, and hope to be done, I think, by 7:30, 8 o'clock in the evening. But what they'll do is they'll actually kind of present what they've been working on the state, listening to our community and what's important for them to be engaging our state representatives and state leadership on what issues are important to us for this next legislative session that'll be coming up in January. But they'll start the prep work and kind of tell you what they've been seeing and what they've been working on. Also, I will be at a conference, which is an advanced manufacturing and automation conference. It's put on by our strategic partnership. We have meetings set up with several basically headhunting groups to talk about potential industries that could come to Dodge in regards to advanced manufacturing. So I'll be gone Sunday evening, and Monday and Tuesday is the conference. I'll be back Wednesday morning for work.
Nicole?
I have nothing, thank you.
Paige?
Nothing from me.
Melissa? Connie? All right. I'm seeking a motion for
We
adjournment.
got a couple minutes for some comments.
Sure do.
So I do feel important to maybe clarify my no vote tonight in regards to the water rights. But I guess the one thing that I I want people to perhaps understand is it's an honor to sit up here with the 5 people up here on this platform. And it's an honor to work with the staff members that are doing nothing but trying to benefit long-term the city of Dodge City. So I want that to be abundantly clear. The last month, people have came after all of our personal ethics and perceived that dealings are happening in the background that are going to enrich, whoever is involved, and it's simply not. It's not productive. I think we've taken a step back as a community in the last month, unfortunately, as a result of this. My no vote was due to process. I think we've done a lot of due diligence in regards to these water rights. I think it's a very, very fair deal. I know I've asked city staff to kind of go through a process to say, hey, let's just open this up to the public. Let's accept proposals. Let's score them out. And let's see if there are some opportunities to acquire water rights that are a better deal. Of course, at this point, we're at the risk of a worse deal, unfortunately. This is all in the seller will make the decision as to whether or not they want to participate in that process. But I would just share that after a process, in the next 6 or 7 months, I'll be ready to vote, and it may or may not to be by these water rights. That's just where things stand. And so I want that to be abundantly clear. We got a little feedback in regards to transparency. I hope the transparency part of this was clear. We are using 92 to 97% of our developed water rights. We shouldn't, and I don't believe we can go past 100. So we've got to start conserving water rights. And so my ask for city staff is to begin the process and in the next year, preferably before a year, in the next 6 months, bring us a conservation rate program. It's time for folks that are high water users on the residential side to pay a higher cost of water. That's the only way we're going to be able to conserve and curb some of this water use. So for transparency, I support a conservation rate. I think we need to move forward. And from a transparency standpoint, I hope city staff will move forward in regards to collecting some public proposals. Let's evaluate them. In all due transparency, we may or may not be buying these water rights. If they're the best deal in 6 months and this deal is still on the table, I would vote yes.
Anything else from the commission?
I had a speech kind of planned out, but I don't know that it's going to do any good to speak. I will say that my father's intentions to sell his water rights to the city of Dodge City was specifically to the benefit of his grandkids and his great-grandkids, should they choose to locate here, provide opportunities for the future. It was strictly drinking water, had nothing to do with data center water. He and my's proposal was just in thought of providing opportunities for the city in the future. That's it.
Anything else?
Your Honor, I'd make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Adjourned.
See you, Michael.